Welcome. Before you drift off to sleep tonight, please take a gentle moment to subscribe to the channel. Tonight, we are journeying back to the late 18th century to spend a quiet morning with a devoted botanist, enveloped in the soft, misty embrace of a walled Parisian garden. So settle in, pull your blankets close, and let us begin. Imagine first the soft, silvery glow of dawn filtering through a latticed window, the air tinged with the earthy sweetness of moss and dew. Our botanist, Madame Célestine Girard, sits at the edge of her linen-draped bed, her bare feet finding the cool wooden floor. She breathes in the promise of morning, feeling the gentle weight of her cotton nightdress against her skin, and she listens to the distant song of a blackbird as the city beyond remains hushed, cloaked in gentle fog. Célestine rises with unhurried grace, drawing a finely woven shawl about her shoulders. The fabric is soft and familiar, embroidered with tiny violets by her mother's hand. She crosses to her small writing desk, where a beeswax candle flickers atop a porcelain saucer, casting a mellow golden glow. Carefully, she selects a slender quill and dips it into an inkwell, the faint scent of walnut ink mingling with the morning air. In her botanical journal, she records the date and whether a misty morning, the garden slumbering, all is quiet. She pauses, gazing through the wavy glass to the garden beyond, stone walls veiled by mist, roses heavy with dew, and tidy beds lined with boxwood, all awaiting her attentive care. Rising, Célestine wraps herself in a sturdy linen apron, the weave thick and slightly rough beneath her fingers, its ivory hue softened by years of gentle washing. At the hearth, she prepares her simple morning tea, a tisane of dried chamomile and lemon balm, steeped in a delicate porcelain cup painted with trailing ivy. The steam curls upward, fragrant and calming, promising comfort with every sip. She warms her hands around the cup, feeling the tranquil heat seep into her palms. On the table, a crusty loaf of seeded rye bread rests beside a pat of creamy butter wrapped in waxed paper. She breaks off a piece, savoring the nutty flavor and the soft crunch of seeds, each bite grounding her in the slow, gentle rhythm of her day. After breakfast, Célestine laces her sturdy leather boots, well-worn and polished to a gentle sheen. Their soles are thick, perfect for navigating the damp flagstones of the garden paths. As she opens the heavy oak door, the scent of rain-kissed earth rises to greet her, mingled with the subtle aroma of ivy and the faint, distant sweetness of lilacs. The air is cool, moist, and utterly still. She steps into the garden, the world muffled by mist. Each stone in the path glistens with tiny beads of water. A spider's web, stretched between two pale lavender bushes, sparkles like a necklace of pearls. Célestine inhales deeply, feeling the peace of the walled sanctuary settle warmly around her shoulders. She moves first to the herb border, where feathery fennel and silvery sage nestle alongside low clumps of thyme. She crouches, feeling the cool damp on her apron, and gently brushes dew from the thyme with her fingertips. The scent is sharp and clean, a burst of green freshness. She checks for signs of new growth, noting the tender shoots twisting upward, pale and determined. A soft cooing arises from the dovecot in the far corner, where two white doves preen in the half-light. Beyond the walls, the distant chimes of a church bell float through the haze, marking the quiet passage of another hour. All is serene, as if time itself pauses to admire the garden's tranquil beauty. At the heart of the garden, a weathered stone bench sits beneath an ancient pear tree. Moss carpets the bench's feet, and the bark above is thick and patterned like lace. Célestine rests here for a moment, smoothing her apron over her knees. She gazes upward, watching droplets gather on the wide leaves, then fall with soft, musical plinks onto the grass below. The air carries a faint, sweet perfume, the mingling of pear blossom and wet stone. She closes her eyes and allows the rustling of leaves and the gentle patter of dripping water to soothe her, her thoughts drifting to the countless quiet mornings she has spent in this beloved space, each one a tender thread in the tapestry of her life. Across the garden, a neat row of terracotta pots lines a low stone wall, each cradling a different treasure: bright marigolds, trailing nasturtiums, pale blue burrage, and a regal rosemary. Clestine inspects them carefully, her fingers tracing the rough rim of each pot. She pinches a sprig of rosemary, releasing its piney aroma into the mist, and gently plucks a marigold flower, tucking it behind her ear. The petals are soft and velvety, their orange bright against the morning's grey. Behind her, the soft padding of a ginger cat signals the arrival of Minette, her loyal companion. Minette winds between Clestine's ankles, purring quietly, adding a gentle warmth to the damp air. With Minette following, Clestine makes her way to the shaded fernery beside the north wall. Here, maidenhair and hart's tongue ferns unfurl their delicate fronds, their green a deep, ancient shade. Water droplets cling to each leaf, catching the pale light and throwing tiny rainbows onto the moss below. She fills a copper watering can from the rain barrel, its surface slick with condensation. As she waters the ferns, a soft trickle sings from the spout, the rhythm gentle and unhurried. Clestine's thoughts wander as she works, recalling her grandmother's stories of wild forests and hidden glades, where ferns grew as tall as children and fairies were said to dance at dawn. Near the gate, a neatly tended bed of medicinal herbs awaits her care. Lady's mantle, yarrow, and valerian nestle together, their leaves beaded with moisture. Clestine kneels, feeling the yielding earth beneath her knees, and begins to weed with careful fingers. The soil is rich, dark, and loamy, giving easily beneath her touch. She examines the valerian roots for firmness, the yarrow for healthy, feathery foliage. She smiles, recalling how these same herbs will find their way into her apothecary jars, lining the shelves of her little study with their earthy scents and healing promise. A cart passes outside the wall, its wooden wheels creaking softly on the cobbles, the world beyond the garden remaining distant and muffled. Clestine lingers at the herb bed, her breath slow and steady, her fingertips trailing through the dew-laden leaves. She sits back, watching the mist swirl and dance over the low beds, the world reduced to subtle shades of silver and green. The garden is hushed, a place of quiet reflection and gentle purpose. She listens to her own breathing, the slow rise and fall, the steady rhythm of her heart. Here, time grows liquid and thick, stretching gently, inviting her and Yuto drift further into quiet contemplation. With each passing minute, the mist grows lighter, the garden more defined, and Clestine's sense of calm deepens, soothing body and mind. The sun, still a pale ghost behind the fog, begins to glimmer just over the high garden wall. Clestine stands and shakes the dew from her apron, the droplets scattering like tiny jewels. She walks along a winding gravel path bordered by lavender bushes, their purple spikes glistening with moisture. The scent of lavender rises, heady and soothing, swirling with the freshening air. She pauses to gather a small bouquet, the stems cool and slightly sticky in her hand. Each step on the gravel crunches softly, a comforting, familiar sound. In the center of the path, a robin hops, cocking its head, bright eyes following her with gentle curiosity. Clestine smiles at the robin, her heart lightened by its presence. She moves to the espaliered apple trees, where tiny green fruits are just beginning to swell. She inspects each branch, her fingers tracing the smooth bark, checking for signs of blight or hungry caterpillars. The leaves are waxy and healthy, the apples promising sweetness to come. Beneath the trees, clusters of violets nestle in the shade, their purple faces bright against the dark earth. She stoops to gather a few, tucking them gently into her apron pocket. The air here is cool and shaded, filled with the quiet song of bees visiting the apple blossoms overhead. Beyond the apple trees lies a small, circular pond, bordered by flagstones slick with moss. Water lilies float serenely, their pale pink petals open to the morning light. Clestine kneels at the edge, watching a pair of golden carp ripple the surface, their scales glinting beneath the water. she trails a hand in the cool pond, feeling the silky glide of water over her skin. The scent here is clean and mineral, tinged with the faintest whiff of water mint. Dragonflies dart above the lilies, their fragile wings catching the sun like shards of stained glass. All around, the garden breathes gently, alive with subtle beauty. Clestine stands slowly, brushing damp earth from her skirt. She carries her lavender bouquet and violets to a low stone table beneath a climbing rose. The table is scattered with small glass vials, each labeled in her careful script. She removes the cork from one, inhaling the tart scent of dried lemon verbena. With quiet deliberation, she sorts the morning's gatherings, laying out petals, leaves, and stems in tidy circles. She hums softly, a lullaby from her childhood, letting the melody blend with the murmurs of the garden. The roses above her nod in the gentle breeze, their petals the palest blush of pink, releasing a fragrance both sweet and slightly peppery. From the kitchen window, the soft clatter of crockery signals that breakfast is being prepared for the household. Clestine's housemaid, Marie, appears with a cheerful wave, a woven basket hooked over her arm. The basket holds a still warm oat loaf and a crock of homemade quince jam, its golden color glowing softly in the muted light. Marie's woolen dress is a faded blue, her white cap crisp and neat. She brings news from the market, a new shipment of indigo dye, a neighbor's laughter echoing from across the square, and the first strawberries of the season. The gentle chatter of women's voices drifts across the garden, mingling with the birdsong and making the world feel lovingly small. Clestine invites Marie to join her at the stone table. Together they sit, spreading slices of oat bread with creamy butter and sweet quince jam. The jam is thick and fragrant, flecked with tiny seeds, and the bread's hearty texture warms their hands. They sip steaming mugs of chicory coffee, its dark, toasty aroma filling the air. The two women share stories of childhood games played in the market square, tales of mothers and grandmothers, dreams of distant travels and exotic plants. Their laughter is quiet and easy, echoing gently against the garden walls. In these small moments of companionship, Clestine feels the deep comfort that comes from shared work and gentle friendship. After breakfast, Marie helps Clestine tidy the table. They carefully return the glass vials to their places and brush away stray petals into a small wicker basket for composting. The sun is climbing higher now, and the mist begins to thin, revealing more of the garden's secret corners. Sunbeams slip through the leaves, casting dappled patterns on the mossy stones. Marie departs with a wave, her laughter trailing like a ribbon behind her as she disappears into the house. Clestine stands in the shifting light, her heart full and her spirit steady, grateful for the gentle threads that connect her to those she loves. Clestine moves to the southern wall, where espaliered figs stretch their broad, velvety leaves toward the warming sun. She inspects the fruit, each one a small promise of sweetness to come. Her hands, stained faintly green from her morning's work, cradle a fig gently, her thumb brushing its soft, downy skin. She breathes in its subtle aroma, whisper of honey and rain. Overhead, the clouds drift, pale and slow, their shapes ever changing. The city beyond remains distant, its bustle softened and quieted by the protective embrace of the garden walls. Here, there is only the measured pace of her own breath and the soft flutter of leaves. In the shade along the wall, a cluster of wild strawberries grows, their tiny red fruits gleaming like jewels against the dark earth. Clestine kneels to gather a handful, the berries cool and fragrant in her palm. They taste sweet and tart, a burst of early summer. She relishes the sensation, the gentle pop of the skin, the flood of juice, the seeds tiny and pleasantly gritty. A honeybee hovers nearby, its legs dusted with gold pollen, and she watches it move from blossom to blossom, industrious and serene. The peaceful industry of bees reminds her of her own gentle labors, each task small but essential, forming the quiet tapestry of her days. A lull settles over the garden as Clestine stands amid the strawberry patch, the world hushed except for the distant rill of water in the stone fountain. She closes her eyes, listening to the soft, rhythmic sound and the faint song of finches in the rose hedges. Time seems to slow and stretch, each moment expanding, inviting her and you to rest fully in this gentle sanctuary. The air is warm on her skin, the sunlight a pale gold on the back of her hands. With a heart full of quiet contentment, she lets her thoughts drift, wrapped in the comforting embrace of the garden and its peaceful, unhurried rhythm. The gentle hush is broken only by the distant toll of a bell from a nearby church, the sound soft and resonant, carrying on the breeze. Clestine pauses to listen, her thoughts turning inward. She remembers her father, once a botanist himself, who taught her to listen for the heartbeats of plants, their slow, silent insistence on life. She runs her fingertips along the crumbling mortar of the garden wall, feeling its warmth, its steadfastness. Vines of clematis climb here, their pale white flowers trembling in the light. Each flower, each stone, a memorian anchor to moments of joy, hope, and small, daily victory. Clestine's path leads her to the potting shed, a small building of time-worn brick and a mossy slate roof. Inside, the air is redolent with earth, dried petals, and the faint tang of turpentine from old paint tins. Sunlight streams through the dusty glass, illuminating shelves lined with terracotta pots, each filled with seedlings foxglove, digitalis, sweet basil, and calendula. She rolls up her sleeves, the linen soft and familiar against her wrists. She selects a pot of young basil, its leaves glossy and fragrant, and gently pinches the tips to encourage bushy growth. Each touch is a small act of care, a promise of future flavor and healing. The workbench is strewn with tools, curved iron shears, a wooden dibber, and a handful of hand-forged trowels, each worn smooth by years of use. Clestine wipes the blade of her favorite trowel with an oiled rag, savoring the metallic tang and the gentle ache in her hands. She repots a spindly marjoram, crumbling rich compost around its roots. The soil is dark and crumbly, cool and fragrant. She hums as she works, her voice low and soothing, the melody echoing softly through the shed. In this quiet refuge, surrounded by the objects of her craft, Clestine feels the deep satisfaction of a life shaped by patient, loving hands. A gentle knock sounds at the potting shed door, and Clestine turns to find a neighbor, Madame Bernard, holding a small bundle wrapped in linen. Madame Bernard's smile is warm, her hair neatly tucked beneath a lace-edged cap. She brings a gift, cuttings of geranium from her own window garden, the leaves bright and pungent. The two women chat quietly, exchanging news of the neighborhood and sharing tips on rooting cuttings. Clestine offers a cup of mint tea, its flavor sharp and refreshing. Together, they pot the new geraniums, their laughter soft and full of friendship, weaving another strand into the fabric of the garden's gentle community. When Madame Bernard departs, Clestine arranges the new geraniums on the window ledge, where the light falls most kindly. She stands for a moment, admiring the patchwork of green, each plant a small triumph of patience and hope. The air is cool on her skin, tinged with the peppery scent of geranium and the faint musk of old wood. A small wooden box on the workbench catches her eye. Inside are dried rose petals and a folded letter, the paper crisp and pale. It is from her dearest friend, Lois, who lives in Lyon. Clestine reads the flowing script, words threaded with affection and longing, her heart warmed by the memory of shared laughter and secrets beneath sunlit trees. She tucks the letter safely back in the box, her fingers lingering on the rose petals soft and dry, the color of faded summer. A memory comes, long walks with Lois along riverbanks, trailing hands through wild mint and tall grass, their voices mingling with the calls of swallows. Clestine smiles, feeling the gentle ache of missing someone beloved, tempered by the comfort of their written words. She gathers a few petals in her palm, crushing them lightly to release their perfume, a scent that speaks of sunlit afternoons, shared confidences, and the enduring solace of true friendship. Leaving the potting shed, Clestine steps back into the garden, her senses sharpened by the bittersweet memory. She walks slowly along the gravel paths, her fingertips brushing the clipped boxwood borders. The sun has strengthened, and the mist now hovers in thin ribbons above the grass. Bees hum busily among the clover, and a swallow swoops low, its wings slicing the air. The garden glows in the new light, colors deepening, shadows softening. Clestine feels the world's quiet pulse beneath her feet, a steady comfort that grounds her and bids her to linger, to notice, to simply be. At the far end of the garden, a wooden gate set into the stone wall leads to a small orchard. The trees here are young, their branches thin and hopeful. Clestine inspects each one, tying stray tendrils to their stakes with soft strips of linen. The fabric is cool and pliant, its edges fraying gently. She murmurs encouragement to the saplings, her voice a soothing litany of care and promise. Underfoot, the grass is thick and springy, dotted with tiny daisies. Overhead, dappled sunlight filters through the leaves, painting shifting patterns of gold and green on the mossy stones. The world is quiet and full of renewal. A rough-hewn bench sits beneath a young cherry tree, its bark smooth and cool beneath Clestine's hand. She rests for a moment, closing her eyes as the breeze stirs the leaves and carries the faint scent of blossom. In her lap, she holds a small embroidery hoop, the linen stretched taut and bordered with a simple blue thread. She works slowly and carefully, her needle dipping and rising, tracing the outline of a fern frond. The thread glides smoothly through the fabric, the pattern emerging with each soft, deliberate stitch. Embroidery, like gardening, is a gentle art, each action a quiet offering to the beauty of the world. Clestine feels herself grow sleepy in the gentle warmth, the repetitive motion of the needle lulling her into a calm, meditative state. She listens to the steady hum of insects, the gentle creak of the bench, and the rhythmic flutter of leaves overhead. The air is sweet, tinged with cherry blossom and cut grass. She lays her embroidery aside for a moment, letting her mind drift on the tide of soft sounds and gentle scents. In this peaceful sanctuary, time loses its edges, and the world becomes a tranquil blur of color, fragrance, and quiet possibility, inviting you to slow your breath, to let go, to rest. A butterfly alights on the embroidery hoop, its wings a delicate patchwork of gold and cream. Clestine holds perfectly still, mesmerized by its fragile beauty. She studies the fine dusting of scales on its wings, the careful way it folds and refolds them before fluttering away. The moment is delicate, ephemeral, and yet entirely grounding, a silent reminder of the countless small wonders woven into each day. As she sits beneath the cherry tree, the garden's gentle rhythm enfolds her, soothing any worry, quieting every restless thought, and inviting her into the patient, serene heart of nature. Feeling refreshed, Clestine gathers her embroidery and returns to the main garden. She stops by a low hedge, where a group of small children from a neighboring house are peering over the wall, their faces bright with curiosity. She greets them with a gentle wave, and they giggle, asking questions about the flowers and the cat, Minette, who sits nearby with her tail flicking serenely. Clestine answers their questions quietly, showing them the intricacies of a rose petal and the ticklish leaves of a mimosa. Their laughter is light and musical, a soft thread of joy woven into the morning's peace. The children soon wander away, called by their governess, and the garden settles again into its quiet rhythm. Clestine kneels at the edge of the path to gather a handful of calendula blooms, their petals a bright, sunny gold against the deep green leaves. She crushes a few between her fingers, the scent tangy and medicinal, and tucks them into her apron for later use in soothing ointments. The breeze carries the faintest aroma of almond cake from a nearby bakery, and her stomach rumbles softly in anticipation of the midday meal. She smiles at this simple pleasure, knowing the day will unfold gently, each moment softly unfurling into the next. Clestine passes through an arched trellis, fragrant with climbing honeysuckle, to reach the kitchen garden. Here, neat rows of lettuce, radishes, and chervil stand dewy and proud. She bends to harvest a few crisp leaves, their edges cool and ruffled, the scent earthy and faintly bitter. She feels the weight of the basket on her arm, the rough weave of willow against her skin. In the distance, a milkmaid's cart rattles softly, the clinking of glass bottles echoing through the morning air. Each sound, each scent, each touch is a reassurance, a gentle reminder that the world is safe, steady, and lovingly tended. As the sun climbs higher, Clestine returns to the house, her basket full of garden bounty. In the cool, flagstoned kitchen, she unpacks her harvest onto a wooden table, lettuce leaves fanned out like emerald feathers, radishes shining pink and white, a handful of chives tied with twine. The kitchen is fragrant with bread baking in the hearth, the yeasty aroma mingling with hints of rosemary and thyme. She washes the vegetables in a copper basin, the water crisp and cold, her hands moving slowly, savoring the simplicity of the task. This is the gentle heart of her day, nourishing herself and others through small, loving labors. With the help of Marie, Clestine prepares a midday meal, a fresh salad of greens and herbs, warm bread with sweet butter, and a small wheel of creamy goat's cheese wrapped in waxed cloth. They arrange everything on a blue-checked cloth at the garden table beneath the pear tree, dappled sunlight flickering through the leaves overhead. The plates are simple earthenware, smooth and cool, their edges chipped from years of use. As they eat, the two women talk quietly about the plants, the turning seasons, and their hopes for the coming summer. The meal is unhurried, each bite savored, each word spoken softly and with care. After the meal, Clestine pours herself a cup of light, floral tisane, linden blossom and elderflower steeped in hot water, the steam curling gently upward. She sits back in her chair, feeling the rough linen of her apron and the solid comfort of wood beneath her. A gentle breeze stirs the air, carrying the fragrance of cut grass and warm bread. The garden hums with contentment, bees in the lavender, the soft murmur of leaves, the distant toll of a clock in the city. This is the gentle music of daily life, a song of peace and quiet joy, wrapping Clestine and her little world in its sheltering arms. Marie rises to clear the table as Clestine remains beneath the pear tree, lost in thought. She watches a pair of sparrows flirting in the branches, their feathers puffed and bright. The pear leaves flutter, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow over her lap. She reflects on the morninga tapestry of small kindnesses, gentle tasks, and quiet beauty. She feels the deep satisfaction that comes from tending to living things, from creating a space of order, nourishment, and peace. In this moment, Clestine is content, her heart beating in time with the garden's gentle pulse, her spirit deeply at rest. After a time, Clestine stands and returns to the shade of the potting shed. She opens a small wooden drawer and removes a bundle of dried lavender, the stems tied with blue ribbon. She crumbles a few blossoms onto a square of muslin, adding dried rose petals and a pinch of lemon verbena. She ties the bundle with twine, creating a fragrant sachet for her linen press. The scent is soothing, floral, citrusy, and faintly sweet, filling the shed with a gentle aroma. Clestine tucks the sachet into her apron pocket, imagining the comfort it will bring on cool nights, the scent a gentle promise of restful sleep. A lull settles over the garden as the sun begins its slow arc westward. Shadows deepen, and a cool breeze stirs the air. Clestine sits on the stone bench beneath the pear tree, her hands folded quietly in her lap. She closes her eyes, listening to the distant sound of church bells, the slow rhythm of her own breath, and the gentle rustle of leaves. The world grows soft and indistinct, each sound blurred and muffled by the garden's embrace. Time stretches, slow and languid, inviting her and you to sink deeper into rest, to let each breath carry away the last traces of wakefulness. The afternoon air is rich and warm, tinged with the scent of sun-warmed earth and freshly cut grass. Clestine rises and moves toward the rose border, where pink and cream blooms spill over the low stone wall. She selects a few blossoms, their petals cool and satiny, and arranges them in a small porcelain vase painted with violets. The vase, a gift from her aunt, is smooth and heavy in her hands, its surface cool against her skin. She places it on her writing desk, where the flowers catch the afternoon sun, their scent drifting through the little study, filling it with a delicate sweetness. Returning to the garden, Clestine pauses by the well, its stone rim worn smooth by generations of hands. She lowers a tin bucket into the dark, cool water, listening to the gentle splash as it fills. She draws the bucket up, the rope rough against her palms, and pours fresh water into the birdbath. Sparrows soon arrive, fluttering and splashing, their feathers sending droplets sparkling in the sun. The sight fills her with gentle amusement. She wipes her hands on her apron, feeling the coarse weave and the faint scent of lavender from her sachet. All around her, the garden is alive with quiet contentment. Clestine carries a small basket to the kitchen garden, where the afternoon sun ripens the tomatoes and encourages the beans to climb higher. She gathers a handful of peas, snapping the pods open to reveal rows of bright green pearls. The scent of the vines is sharp and green, the pods cool and crisp in her hands. She listens to the soft rustle of leaves, the distant chirp of a cricket, the gentle hum of bees. Each movement is slow and deliberate, each sound a note in the peaceful symphony of the garden. As she works, she feels the simple joy of being present, of tending to life's quiet abundance. With her basket full, Clestine returns to the house, her steps light on the mossy path. In the kitchen, she shells the peas into a blue and white bowl, their bright color a cheerful contrast to the rustic wooden table. The kitchen is cool and dim, the air fragrant with herbs drying on overhead racks: sage, marjoram, and tarragon. She stirs the peas into a pot of simmering broth, adding a handful of mint and a pinch of salt. The aroma is fresh and comforting, a promise of nourishment and warmth. As the soup simmers, Clestine hums softly, her voice blending with the gentle bubbling and the distant call of a dove. The clock in the parlor chimes softly, marking the gentle passage of another hour. Clestine carries her bowl of soup to a cozy corner of the kitchen, where a cushioned chair awaits beside the hearth. The fire is low, its embers glowing softly, casting a warm, golden light over the polished floor. She eats slowly, savoring each spoonful: the sweetness of the peas, the cool freshness of the mint, the soothing warmth of the broth. She lingers over her meal, letting the quiet comforts of the kitchen seep into her bones, filling her with a deep sense of peace and contentment. After lunch, Clestine returns to her study, a small room lined with shelves of botanical books and neatly labeled jars. The air here is cool and dry, tinged with the scent of old parchment and pressed flowers. She selects a thick, leather-bound volume Linnea Systema Naturae and leafs through its pages, her fingers tracing the elegant script and careful illustrations. She copies a passage into her journal, her handwriting small and precise. Each word is a quiet act of devotion, a way of honoring the knowledge passed down through generations. The room is silent except for the soft scratch of her pen and the gentle ticking of the mantel clock. A light rain begins to fall, its gentle patter on the windowpane a soothing counterpoint to Clestine's quiet work. She lights a beeswax candle, its flame steady and golden, filling the room with a subtle, honeyed fragrance. She places her journal aside and opens a drawer to reveal a box of dried flower specimens: violets, pansies, and wild thyme, each pressed between crisp sheets of paper. She arranges them carefully on her desk, admiring the faded colors and delicate shapes. The rain softens the world outside, wrapping the house and garden in a gentle hush, as if the city itself has paused to rest and dream. The candlelight flickers on the spines of the books, casting long, drowsy shadows on the pale wooden floor. Clestine sits back in her chair, a soft woolen shawl draped over her shoulders. She gazes at the pressed flowers, letting her thoughts wander. She remembers her mother's voice, teaching her the names and uses of each bloom: violet for comfort, thyme for courage, pansy for remembrance. The memories are bittersweet and gentle, a quiet comfort on a rainy afternoon. She sips a cup of warm, honey-sweetened tea, the flavor soft and mellow, and feels the peace of the moment settle deep within her. As the rain continues, Clestine moves to the window and watches droplets race down the glass, merging and refracting the soft light. The mist lingers in the corners of the garden, curling around the hedges and tree trunks. She listens to the gentle rush of water from the gutters, the steady beat of rain on the slate roof. The world is blurred and softened, colors melting into one another: greens, grays, and the faint blush of roses. She feels sheltered and cocooned, safe within the walls of her home and garden, grateful for the simple, enduring beauty of a rainy afternoon. With the storm passing, Clestine dons her cloak, the wool thick and comforting, lined with faded silk. She steps out beneath the eaves, rain still dripping from the edges of the roof. The garden smells fresh and clean, the earth dark and shining, the leaves heavy with moisture. She walks along the path, her boots silent in the soft mud. The air is cool against her skin, carrying the scent of petrichor, wet grass, and the faintest trace of honeysuckle. She gathers a handful of mint, the leaves slick and fragrant, and tucks them into her pocket for later. The world seems quiet, renewed, and full of promise. Returning to the kitchen, Clestine lays her mint on the table and fetches a small, glazed earthenware jar. She fills it with the fresh leaves and pours over warm honey, stirring slowly until the aroma fills the room. The mixture will steep overnight, becoming a soothing winter remedy. She wipes her hands on a linen towel, the fabric soft and slightly damp from earlier use. The kitchen is warm and dim, the fire crackling gently in the hearth. She sits for a moment with Minette curled at her feet, her heart full of quiet satisfaction, the gentle solace of home and healing work settling around her. Clestine stands and smooths her apron, feeling the comforting weight of the soft, well-worn linen. She moves to the small pantry, where shelves hold jars of dried beans, pickled onions, and bundles of herbs tied with string. She selects a jar of rosehip conserve, its color a deep, glowing red, and places it on the table. The glass is cool beneath her fingers, sticky where the jam has dripped. She spreads a spoonful on a slice of dense, nutty bread, savoring the tart, sweet flavor. The taste is a memory of autumn, rosehips gathered at the edge of the wood, the air brisk and bright with the promise of frost. A letter arrives by hand, delivered by a neighbor's son barefoot, grinning, his hair damp from the rain. Clestine thanks him warmly and presses a coin into his palm, his delight brightening the room. The letter is from her cousin in Rouen, its paper creased and scented faintly of violets. The words are kind, inquiring after her health and the progress of her garden. She reads the letter aloud in the kitchen, letting the familiar voice fill the space, weaving connections across distance and time. She writes a reply, her pen gliding smoothly over the paper, each word a thread in the ever-growing tapestry of her gentle, rooted life. When her reply is finished, Clestine seals the letter with a dab of beeswax, pressing her signet gently into the warm gold. She sets it aside for the next post and returns to the garden, where the sun peeks through thinning clouds. The air is fresh and clear, the garden glistening with renewed color and life. She stoops to gather a handful of marjoram, its leaves velvety and pungent, and tucks them into her basket. The world feels brighter, each leaf and petal touched by rain and sunlight, each breath full of promise and quiet joy. She smiles, heart brimming with gratitude for these small, daily miracles. Clestine walks slowly along the path, her senses sharpened by the rain. She stops to admire a bed of violets, their purple faces bright against the dark, damp earth. She kneels and gathers a small bouquet, the flowers cool and slightly damp in her hand. Their scent is delicate, powdery, and sweet. She tucks the violets into a glass vase, setting it on the windowsill where the afternoon light will catch their color. As she stands, she hears the distant laughter of children, the gentle clink of teacups from a neighbor's parlor, the world spinning quietly on its gentle axis, safe and sure. Returning to her little study, Clestine takes out her botanical journal once more. She sketches the violets, her pencil moving slowly and deliberately across the page. Each petal becomes a soft wash of purple, each leaf a delicate curve of green. She notes the time, the weather, the subtle changes in the garden since morning. Her script is small and neat, an intimate record of her days, her thoughts, and the living world around her. She feels the quiet power of observation, the gentle satisfaction of tending not only to her plants but to her own sense of wonder and belonging. As the sun dips lower, Clestine tidies her study, stacking her books and arranging her pressed flowers in a neat row. She lights another beeswax candle, its honeyed scent filling the room, and pulls her shawl tightly around her shoulders. She pauses by the window, watching as the shadows lengthen and the garden shifts from gold to silver in the fading light. She feels the house settle, even the floors and beams seem to sigh with contentment. With each flicker of the candle, each quiet breath, the world becomes softer, sleepier, and more peaceful, welcoming you gently toward rest. The evening brings a gentle coolness, and Clestine prepares a light supper, a bowl of broth, a crisp apple, a handful of roasted chestnuts. She sits at her small kitchen table, the surface polished smooth by years of use, and eats slowly, savoring each flavor. The apple is tart and juicy, the chestnuts rich and sweet, their warmth lingering on her tongue. She sips water from a clay cup, feeling the cool weight of it in her hand. Across the table, Minette stretches and yawns, her whiskers twitching in the candlelight. The house is quiet, the only sounds the soft ticking of the clock and the distant song of a nightingale beyond the wall. After supper, Clestine gathers a silver tray and arranges a simple dessert, poached pears in spiced wine, garnished with a sprig of mint and a scattering of violet petals. The pears are soft and fragrant, their syrup a deep, ruby red. She carries the tray to her parlor, where the fire burns low and the air is warm and still. She settles into a well-padded armchair, the upholstery faded but soft, and enjoys her dessert in the quiet glow of the hearth. Each bite is a gentle pleasure, a taste of care and comfort, of days spent tending to living things and reaping their quiet rewards. The fire crackles softly as Clestine sits with her dessert, her thoughts drifting gently from the day's labors to the slow rhythms of the evening. She savors the warmth of the flames, the softness of her shawl against her neck, and the lingering sweetness on her tongue. She listens to the gentle pop and hiss of the logs, the whisper of wind at the window, the muted sounds of the city winding down beyond her walled sanctuary. In the dim, golden light, the world feels small and safe, every corner of the room infused with the warmth and peace of a day well lived. After dessert, Clestine takes up her embroidery again, her needle shining in the candlelight. She stitches a border of tiny violets around the ferns she outlined earlier, her fingers moving with practiced ease. The thread is soft and silky, cool to the touch, each stitch a small meditation. She listens to the gentle rhythm of her own breathing, the quiet hum of the night beyond the window. Embroidery, like gardening, is a gentle, patient craft, its reward slow and lasting. With every careful movement, every curve and knot, Clestine feels herself become more deeply rooted in the peace and softness of the evening. As the evening deepens, Clestine finishes her embroidery and folds it carefully, tucking it into her work basket lined with linen. She stands and stretches, feeling the gentle pull of tired muscles, the slow, steady ache of a day spent in tender work. She moves quietly through the house, closing the shutters and drawing the curtains. The fabric is thick and heavy in her hands, cool and faintly scented with lavender. She lights a final candle in the hall, its flame small and steady, casting gentle shadows on the walls. The house grows quiet and still, each room softly cocooned in warmth and gentle light. Before bed, Clestine prepares a small bowl of dried lavender and chamomile, setting it on her bedside table. The scent is soothing, a gentle balm for the mind and spirit. She changes into her nightdress, the cotton soft and cool against her skin, and brushes her hair in slow, deliberate strokes. The bristles are gentle on her scalp, the rhythm calming and familiar. She slips beneath the linen sheets, their texture crisp and comforting, and settles onto her feather pillow. Outside, the garden is silent, the moon casting a silver sheen over the damp grass and the quiet walls. All is still and safe. Clestine blows out her candle, leaving only the faint glow of moonlight filtering through the curtains. She listens to the soft, regular beating of her heart, the gentle rise and fall of her breath, the distant chorus of night insects in the garden beyond. She recalls the day's moments, each small kindness, each gentle touch, each breath of fragrance and light. The world grows softer, the edges blurred and indistinct, as if the garden itself has wrapped her in its gentle arms. She lets her mind drift, her thoughts slowing, each heartbeat a lullaby, each breath a quiet invitation to sleep. A faint breeze stirs the curtains, carrying with it the subtle perfume of night-blooming jasmine. The air is cool and soft against Clestine's skin, a gentle reminder of the garden's quiet presence even as she rests. She remembers the feel of moss beneath her fingers, the taste of wild strawberries, the sound of rain on the slate roof. Each memory is a soft echo, a gentle refrain that soothes her toward sleep. The house is silent except for the quiet breathing of Minette, curled at the foot of the bed, her presence a warm, comforting weight. All is calm, all is well. The night deepens and the garden outside grows still, the only movement the gentle sway of leaves in the moonlight. Clestine's thoughts drift, to loved ones far away, to the hope of letters yet to come, to the shifting tapestry of her daily life. She feels the world's quiet pulse beneath her, the steady reassurance of earth and stone, root and leaf. The linen sheets are cool and comforting, the feather pillow soft beneath her cheek. She lets go of the day's cares, each breath growing slower, each heartbeat softer. The world narrows to a gentle rhythm, a lullaby of peace and rest. As sleep draws near, Clestine listens to the distant toll of a church bell, it sounds slow and resonant in the night air. She counts the chimes, letting each one guide her deeper into stillness. She imagines the garden at midnight, dew settling on petals, the pond mirror smooth, the moon silvering the leaves. Each image is soft and soothing, a quiet promise of renewal and safety. The world feels infinite and intimate, a gentle cradle for her dreams. Her breathing slows, her mind floats, and the last traces of the day fade into a gentle hush. The candle in the hall flickers low, casting a gentle glow against the thick velvet of night. Clestine shifts beneath her blankets, feeling the warmth cocoon her from toes to chin. She thinks of her friends Lois in Lyon, her cousin in Rouen, each connection a thread of comfort woven into her dreams. She remembers the soft laughter of Marie, the kindness of Madame Bernard, the curious questions of the children at the gate. The world feels loving, safe, and small, each memory a warm light in the darkness. She sighs softly, surrendering to rest, a gentle smile on her lips. In the garden, the night creatures stir. An owl calls softly from the orchard, its voice low and musical. The bats wheel silently above the pond, their tiny wings slicing the cool air. The scent of damp earth and jasmine drifts through the open window, mingling with the faint aroma of beeswax and lavender. Clestine is barely awake now, her thoughts dissolving into dreams. She feels the gentle rise and fall of her own breathing, the steady beat of her heart, the quiet comfort of her home. The world is soft and silent, each moment a gentle nudge toward sleep's embrace. The minutes stretch, slow and gentle, as Clestine sinks further into sleep. The garden outside is wrapped in mist, silvered by the moon, silent except for the whisper of leaves and the distant chime of bells. She dreams of sunlit mornings, of dew on the grass, of warm bread and sweet strawberries. She dreams of letters from friends, of laughter and kindness, of quiet afternoons spent in the gentle embrace of her walled sanctuary. Each dream is soft, safe, and luminous, a balm for the spirit. The night is deep and quiet, a gentle cradle for her slumbering heart. The house is silent now, the fire in the hearth long faded, the last candle guttered. Clestine's dreams are gentle and bright gardens in perpetual bloom, rivers shining beneath an endless sunrise, loved ones gathered in peace and joy. She floats in a world woven of memory and hope, safe in the embrace of her home. The linen sheets are soft, the pillow cool, the night air sweet with jasmine and rose. Each breath draws her deeper, each heartbeat slower, as if the world itself is breathing her gently into deeper rest. Outside, a light mist falls, softening the garden's edges, wrapping every stone and leaf in a gentle shroud. The only sound is the distant call of a nightjar, the slow drip of water from the eaves. Within these walls, all is peace, no alarm, no haste, only the slow turning of the night and the comfort of familiar things. Clestine's body is heavy with sleep, her mind a quiet pool reflecting the gentlest of dreams. The world is a cradle, steady and sure, rocking her into the softest sleep, guarded by the gentle pulse of her walled garden. The garden slumbers, each plant and stone bathed in silver light. The roses hold their fragrance, the herbs yield their secrets to the cool air, and the old pear tree stands as a silent sentinel. Clestine's breath is deep and even, her dreams filled with the gentle rhythms of daily life, watering, tending, harvesting, resting. The world is hushed, the city stilled beyond the walls, all anxiety and haste forgotten. Each minute slips by like water over smooth stones, cool and slow, until all that remains is the soft murmur of peace and the invitation to drift yet deeper into sleep. The candle on the bedside table has burned low, its flame a tiny golden point in the vast quiet of night. Clestine is still, her body warmed beneath the linen sheets, her mind adrift in dreams of morning light and bird song. The garden outside rests in gentle silence, dew forming on every leaf, petals closed in sleep. No breeze disturbs the air, no worry mars the quiet. All is soft, slow, and perfectly at peace. Each breath, each heartbeat, is a lull in the night's gentle music, lulling you, too, into the sweetest repose. Beyond the walls, the city sleeps, its distant sounds muffled by mist and time. The bells in the church tower mark the hour with slow, even chimes, each note a gentle reminder of the passing night. Clestine dreams of laughter, of shared meals, of warm hands and kind eyes. She dreams of the soft weight of Minette beside her, of the scent of lavender and rose, of the slow unfolding of each tender day. The world is small and safe, the hours slow and forgiving. With every soft sound, every gentle memory, sleep deepens, peaceful and complete. The stillness of the house holds steady, a gentle cocoon of safety and warmth. The linen sheets have grown softer with every washing, their fibers familiar and comforting against Clestine's skin. The moon drifts behind a veil of cloud, the night growing even quieter. In her dreams, the garden is ever in bloom, birdsong and sunshine eternal, each path leading to corners of gentle delight. She sleeps with a soft smile, her body at ease, her spirit untroubled. The only sound is her breathing, steady and slow, matched by the quiet heartbeat of the world outside. A faint rustle in the hallway, perhaps Minette finding a new place to curl, stirs the air, then all is silent once more. Clestine shifts in her sleep, the linen sheets whispering softly. The night presses gently against the glass, the light from the moon a pale wash of silver. She dreams of letters written and received, of friends reunited beneath the pear tree, of warm tea shared in the garden's early morning hush. Each dream is a gentle echo of her waking life, sweet and rich with tenderness, guiding her deeper into the arms of restful slumber. Outside, the mist thickens, swirling over the grass, blurring the edges of stone and hedge. The garden holds its breath, every leaf and petal unmoving in the moonlight. Clestine's dreams grow quieter, softer, like petals closing for the night. She dreams of the slow rhythm of embroidery, the taste of honeyed mint, the feeling of earth between her fingers. The world fades to gentle shades of grey and silver, all tension dissolved, all worry forgotten. Each minute is a soft descent, like drifting down a lazy stream, the world holding her safely in its quiet embrace. The last candle's flame gutters out, leaving only the silvery glow of moon and mist. Clestine's breathing is even, her sleep deep and untroubled. The garden outside waits patiently for dawn, every root and branch resting in the cool night air. All is still, the world reduced to the gentle pulse of life at rest. The linen sheets are warm and close, the pillow soft beneath her head. Each breath draws her deeper, each moment a gentle lull, inviting you, too, to let go, to settle, to drift beyond the reach of thought. The hours pass slowly, the night deepening to its quietest, most comforting tones. The garden's secrets are kept safe within its walls, each bloom and leaf sleeping soundly. Clestine's dreams are full of soft laughter, the rustle of leaves, the cool touch of spring water. She sleeps as the world sleeps, peacefully, quietly, with perfect trust. The only sounds are the faint sighs of the house, the distant chime of a clock, the regular rhythm of her gentle breathing. The night is a gentle hand, smoothing away every care, leaving only warmth, comfort, and the promise of dawn. As the night draws on, the city beyond the walls is hushed to silence. A light snow begins to fall, each flake a feather-light touch upon the stone and grass, softening every sound. Clestine sleeps on, her dreams gentle and bright. In the garden, the snow settles on the hedges, the trees, the rooftops, muffling every noise, wrapping the world in softness and peace. The air is cool and clean, the world still to its quietest, safest self. Each breath, each dream, is a gentle journey, leading her ever deeper into rest, wrapped in the warm cocoon of home. The snow falls steadily, blanketing the city beyond and the sanctuary within. Clestine is lost in dreams of springtime, the first shoots of green breaking through the earth, the song of the blackbird at dawn, the taste of fresh strawberries. Each dream is gentle, slow, and sweet, a promise of renewal. The garden sleeps beneath its snowy cover, the house warm and silent, the only movement the slow rise and fall of breath. All is well, all is safe. The world is reduced to simple kindness, to warmth and quiet, to the slow, rhythmic unfolding of sleep. Stillness reigns in the house and garden, the snow outside falling ever softer, the mist swirling and settling. Clestine remains in deep, untroubled sleep, her mind adrift on gentle tides of memory and hope. She dreams of peaceful mornings, of laughter shared over bread and tea, of kind letters and warm hands. The world outside is hushed and white, every sound softened, every shape blurred. The linen sheets have warmed to her body, the pillow cradles her head. All is gentle, all is slow. Each moment is an invitation to drift further, to let go, to rest completely. Time slips by unnoticed, every minute a soft caress, each breath a gentle tide. Clestine's dreams grow fainter, dissolving into pure sensation, warmth, softness, the scent of lavender, the gentle pressure of the pillow beneath her cheek. The night is deep, the snow falls silently, the garden safe and still beneath its winter blanket. The only sound is sleep itself, the slow, soothing rhythm of a heart at rest. The world is at peace, and so is she, drifting ever deeper, ever further into the soft embrace of sleep. The last of the fire's warmth lingers in the stones of the hearth, the air within the house rich with the scent of beeswax and lavender. Outside, the snow thickens, each flake adding to the silent quilt that covers the garden. Clestine lies still, every muscle relaxed, every care set aside. Only the gentle pulse of her breath, the faint ticking of the clock, mark the slow passage of time. The world is soft and safe, each sound a lullaby, each minute a step deeper into the quiet heart of sleep. The candle on the mantel has burned down to the smallest pool of gold, its flame steady and true. Clestine's breathing is slow and even, her body heavy with rest. The world outside is still, the garden's beauty hidden beneath snowy silence. The linen sheets cocoon her, the air is cool and sweet, the house a shelter against the night. Slowly, gently, she drifts through dreams of gardens and sunlight, of laughter and kindness, of safe walls and warm hands. Each breath, each heartbeat, is a gentle invitation to sleep, a promise that all is well, all is peaceful. The night is nearly spent, the edges of morning just beginning to brush the sky. Snow continues to fall, the world outside wrapped in its gentle hush. Clestine sleeps on, her dreams light and warm, filled with the soft cadence of daily joys. The house is silent, every corner steeped in the deep quiet of night, every shadow gentle, every sound softened by the snow. With each breath, each slow, even heartbeat, she sinks deeper into rest, the world holding her safely, softly, guiding her and you ever closer to the heart of sleep. The last hour of night is the quietest, the air still and cold, the snow outside a silken shroud over the garden. Clestine's sleep is deep, her body and heart at ease. She dreams of sunlight on pear blossoms, of warm bread and gentle hands, of the slow, sweet music of life in her walled sanctuary. The world is soft and silver, every care dissolved, every thought softened by the gentle rhythm of sleep. The fire is out, the candle spent, only the faintest glow of dawn beginning to grow beyond the snowy garden. The house, the garden, the world itself holds its breath, poised on the edge of morning. The snow outside glows softly in the pre-dawn light, the air is hushed and still. Clestine sleeps soundly, her dreams a gentle river, carrying her through fields of lavender, across sunlit lawns, beneath the flowering pear tree. Each breath is a lullaby, each heartbeat a gentle drum, guiding her and you ever deeper into the softest, most peaceful rest. The world is safe, the night is gentle, the promise of a new day just beyond the horizon. The final minutes of night pass quietly, the garden and house steeped in perfect stillness. Clestine's breathing is slow and deep, her body cradled by linen and down, her mind afloat in the softest dreams. Beyond the garden wall, the sky begins to pale, the snow glimmering in the first hints of dawn. All is at peace, the gentle mist, the warmth of the home, the comforting weight of the blankets. The world holds its breath at the threshold of morning, inviting you, too, to remain a while longer in this cocoon of quiet, gentle sleep, safe and cherished, until the new day softly begins. And so, dear friend, our gentle journey comes to a close. Thank you so very much for spending this peaceful evening with us. We hope this story has brought you comfort, warmth, and the sweetest rest. Until next time, sleep well, and know that another cozy tale awaits you soon. Good night.